second video of the fall lake trout series. Now, first one was filmed on Sebago Lake, which is a completely different lake than Lake Winnipesaukee, which is where we are now. And you guys don't need to know the name of those lakes, but the only thing that's different between those two lakes is one is an alewife-based lake, and this one is a smelt-based lake, which I don't know how it has anything to do with how they spawn, but what lake trout do in the fall is completely different than I've been telling you guys pretty much all summer. They do really funky stuff, they get really hard to target, they get really, really finicky. And so if you want to watch, pause this video and watch the video I'm going to link down below on how to target finicky lake trout. You could not get more finicky lake trout than the ones that are pre-spawn, which is what we're targeting today. Now I'm going to show you guys more lake trout than you've ever seen on a screen on Livescope in the world for lake trout. They're going to be all in this 100 to 150 foot community fishing hole where I am right now. So lake trout in the fall, they pre-stage at the end of August here in New Hampshire. Our water temp 65 right now. They pre-stage or pre-spawn, pre-stage, and then the end of October, beginning of November, they push up onto the rocks like cobblestone size, like size of my fist, 2 fists. And they go spawn at night. Now, a lot of places, and I just asked on a local lake trout group, if you guys have see me on there, every province, country, state does something different with their spawning rules and regulations. We close September 30th, so I only have 10 days left to target these lake trout. So today I'm targeting a bunch of them, and then tomorrow I'm targeting, ooh, there was a fish underneath me. Tomorrow I'm targeting bigger lake trout. Hopefully that'll make a video. So let me show you how many fish are on the screen. It's kind of ridiculous. And it's definitely fall. We have a 50-degree air temp this morning, probably 55 now. We were wearing the Eskimo ice fishing gear already. So right now we're in 80 feet of water. We are gonna go out to the 100-foot mark. And the two biggest things for targeting pre-spawn lake trout is one, finding the biggest school that you can find. So all those are lake trout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna stop in this school because it looks like they're gonna eat. As soon as we hit that 100-foot mark, now I'm under the assumption that where that water is right now at 100 feet is the perfect temperature for them to be in, because they're not in 150 and they're not up in 80. I don't know what temperature that is. And if you guys up in Canada, Michigan, wherever you guys are watching this from, let me know in the comments if your lake trout do this in the fall. I'd really like to know. I'm curious. I'm a curious person if you guys couldn't tell. So right now we're dropping down on these guys. Our main goal is to find as many lake trout in the school as possible and try to get one to eat. Once one eats, they kind of all eat. So we're dropping down and we're gonna do the dead stick technique. We're gonna stop it above them. And talk about finicky lake trout. They will chase all the way up to the glass ceiling and then not eat. So that glass ceiling is right there. I'm gonna turn my gain up and you can see right where my jig is moving right there. There's a little bit of fuzziness difference. You can see that also on 2D. I'm not gonna show you right now, but that is the thermocline. It is still warm water up there and colder water below that. So they're chilling down there in cold water. Oh, I got another one coming up. That just changed his mind. And sometimes it actually takes a reaction bite. So a blade bait or a spoon, something that's just gonna make them snap at it, because they are not more turned off. They'll eat right now, but it is not what they are focused on. They are focusing on like conserving energy and getting those eggs and milt ready for the season to come. Oh, I got one on me, come on. He's not gonna eat, see? Not gonna eat. And my jig's right there at about 70 feet right now. So I am using the Winnie kit for this, but I'm using 3/8 of an ounce. So I'm using the just slightly heavier small shad style head, just because we're dropping down to 120 feet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 on the screen right now. A quick tip that I can do is I can just drop these fish right to bottom and see if they want to eat. He's chasing me down. I don't know if he's going to hit it or not. And I'm using glow in the dark from the Winnie kit swim bait, 2 inches. I prefer to downsize during the pre-spawn. And then I'm gonna reel it up past him. Got him. Got him. Got him. Now these aren't giant fish. Probably the biggest one around here is probably 8, 9 pounds, not even. The average size in this lake, actually that's smaller than average. So, another quick tip, if I'm in a small lake and this is the only school that I can find, I will stay here and bug them for a while. If I'm in a big lake where I am today, I will go, once I smoke a fish, catch a fish in a school, I will go move on to a different school. I just heard this in a podcast, whatever, that steelhead release like a pheromone, or salmon release a pheromone when they're caught, when they're up in like spawning mode, that sends a signal to everybody to stop eating. So I think that's what Lakers do when they get caught. 120 feet of water, super, super deep. Now, like I said, I don't know if all places do this where they stack up in deeper water. But the couple of places that I target in the fall, this being one of them, they do this. Now they're not spawning yet, not even close to spawning yet. They got another probably 20 days before they even start thinking about it. And it's more of a temperature-based thing. I've heard it's like 50 degrees before they even start to think about it. And that's in Fahrenheit, of course. Now you can entirely do this with 2D sonar. It's actually sometimes a little easier than Livescope, because Livescope gets harder to read when there's a bunch of fish on the screen. I'm targeting that one fish there. You guys can see my braid, and I'm gonna always stop ahead of this guy. Got him. Got him. Oh, I forgot how much fun catching Lakers was. Find those schools, find the bigger schools. Don't waste your time on the onesie twosies unless they look huge. And then obviously target the big ones. Now, little guy. Now, the lake trout series for the fall will change over the next few months. I will not have time to target them when they're up on spawn. If it's legal to do so in your area, province, go right ahead. If you have a small lake trout population, I don't suggest it. It's kind of like targeting lake trout or bass when they're on beds. Semi-frowned upon, which is why our season is closed. Dropping down on those couple of fish down there. Usually if I can get one to go. Oh, he's kind of interested in it. He dropped. Ah, see, I didn't listen to my own advice. I stayed on the same school of fish. They've already caught on to me. But I've also been out here for 5 hours guiding in the same area, so just bringing this fish down lower so I can get his buddy that's next to me, who also sees me. We are going to change schools. Like literally as simple as that. Find a fish. Now there's a pond that I fish that's really small that I do the same thing. And I will go towards, to find these deep holes, find those deep holes that are near like little islands or rocky shoal areas that's where those lake trout will be, because that's where they're going to spawn on. So if you want to find these deep holes, obviously you can use your sonar and kind of like putt around and mark these fish. Pretty easy to mark when they're stacked up like this. Or find those little like rocky islands and look for the deep area next to those islands. Those lakers should be right there. At least that's my, out of the 3 lakes that I fish in the fall, that has been a repetitive pattern. Hold on, I found a giant school in front of me here. And dropping. Using a 15-pound braid and 12-pound fluorocarbon leader for these 20-inch and under trout. Bigger trout, bigger leader, bigger braid. I still run 15, just gotta get used to it. I've yet to break the braid. But a big majority of this is literally just waiting for stuff to drop to the bottom of the lake. And if you find the right weather pattern to get out and do this, you can really put some numbers in the boat. Right now we have easterly wind, east to west, and it's not great for this lake, apparently. Now, since I probably won't get to go cast to them when they're up spawning or like right on shallow rocks and stuff like that, your best bet is to find those shallow reefs and stuff like that near where I am now and cast up onto them. Do not try to jig and do not go blow it up by getting too close to it with your boat, because they catch on quick. Got it right next to them. 40 feet down, right in the thermocline. Not very big. So one of the cool things, like most fish species, is they'll get more colored up during their spawn. So their fins will turn more white, and a little bit, the tips will turn more white and a little bit more orange. Going back in. They get super, super pretty. Not like brook trout spawn pretty, but pretty, pretty. I'm gonna take my own advice and I'm gonna move to the next school. Now, if you were to do this with a boat, I would suggest back trolling up into the wind without sinking your boat. Please don't sink your boat, because I told you so. Told you so. Yeah, we wanna get as close as we can to these fish. And so as soon as you mark them with your normal 2D transducer, you already passed them. So if you're back trolling, you can stop a little bit faster. There's 4 or 5 down there. Not as many as I'd like, but drop back down. So there is pretty much no structure around where I am. There's a little bit, it's just a bowl with a little drop off, a little bit of ledge around me. So there is no structure where I am. There's also no bait. I have not seen any bait that's markable even with Livescope. So these spots are kind of hard to find. And you will not find any more finicky lake trout than this lake. They are annoying. Now, if all of these fish are being giant pains in the butts, which they tend to be sometimes, leave them and come back to them. Give them 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Or what you can try to do is find fish that are on their way to this area. So like go, right now I have a bay behind me, deep spot, main broad lake basically in front of me. I would go out that way and look for fish that are doing similar stuff, but not as much of a pain in the butt, because I have my jig right in front of 4 fish and they're not even moving. Dropping down on a group of about 5 or so. And this is, besides actual spawn, this is your percentages of bigger catches can go up. So these bigger fish will be mixed in, usually not at the beginning of the spawn or the pre-spawn, but normally later in it if you're legally allowed to do that. Come on, come on. Got it. Slack lined it. And it's so much fun to get them on the chase. When they actually chase like lake trout and not like little prima donnas. I'm letting this one burp a little bit, see if he wants to run. Pretty fish. Going right back to. That's the bait I'm using, and this is Smelt Pro Cure. I also use LY for herring smelt or smell as well. We pull out all of the stops when it comes to pre-spawn fish because they can be an absolute, not a nightmare. It's just you see so many fish and they're not eating, so we have to force feed them kind of. What I was trying to say before my GoPro interrupted me is if you are patient and are in like you've seen a lot of fish there and then they just disappear, just wait. Another school will usually come in. You guys can see if I start recording 12:16, there is fish 60 feet behind me and 40 feet in front of me, and I have the choice to either wait and to go find them or putt, like usually use 2D off the back of my boat and putt around and remark some fish. If you have a bunch of really big hungry lake trout, when they're in this kind of, right now they're in the funk because like it's just a bad weather day and they're pre-spawn. I'm using the winning kit because these fish are small. If you have bigger lake trout, like in the 30-inch plus range, or medium lake trout in the grand scheme of things, use the Big Bait XL kit. You can use bigger swim baits, bigger tubes, all the above. Those are all available on benditfish.com if you guys don't know. So that's the drill. Find that deep water, go in those little basins, find that rocky area, having all those things next to each other, or like kind of a group of islands where they can kind of all spawn around that same area. Downsize and find those big schools. I have found a bunch of schools that are smaller and it's just not even worth dropping down. If your lake maxes out at like 60 feet, or your pond or whatever, start in that 60-foot deep hole and then kind of work your way around that. They should be right there. If you guys want to see more fall content, click here. There's a whole new playlist. And if you want to see just lake trout in general, click over here. And I'll see you in one of those next videos.